There's sometimes some artificial boundaries between kids and adults, and this program, invites people to push those out a little bit and invite people in instead of just assuming that youth groups are for youth and adult groups are for adults. This helps mix things up.
We want our children, our youth, to grow up to be mature followers of Christ. We want their faith to stick. In the past, the model for youth ministry was that for every 5 kids, you have one leader. They basically flipped this model on its head. And they said what students need, what kids need, what youth needs is they need, for every 1 kid, they need 5 adults to pour into their lives, to pray for them, to invest in them, to love on them for their faith to stick. And again, growing up, I had this. Besides my parents, I had grandparents. I had our youth pastor who, even though my parents aren't around anymore, he lives in the Philippines, calls me regularly, still checking in with me 40 years later.
I had other family members, I think, who kind of played that role. There was other Christians that would ask questions, hey, how are you doing? And really bring up the subject, as uncomfortable as it might have been for them and me, at the time, because sometimes they probably weren't getting answers they wanted to hear. And that's a sort of healthy pressure, I think, and it got me to consider things, and I think it probably played an influential role in me coming back around.
The only other person that comes to mind, or family that comes to mind that could have been part of my squad would be the Pierces, which are my neighbors, Al and Carolyn Pierce.
They invited us to every single event here at the church for years. Come to church, come sew with us, watch us in the choir.
They've always been really supportive and
encouraging.
Yeah.
And I remember my first 2 years of high school, we lived with my grandma Franz. And she was an amazing woman. She prayed every day for the whole family. She was involved in Bible studies. She helped the needy and cared for people. And I think what was most impactful is that she talked to me about that. I always knew why she did what she did. And she shared her faith and her stories, told me stories about her and Grandpa, and that was really significant for me.
And I'd like to see Joshua have those kind of relationships with other adults in his life.
So that's where this Squad 51, where we at San Clemente have kind of adopted this. You guys, 6th graders, you guys are going to come up with 5 adults in your lives that are going to love on you. Someone that you might call in the middle of the night if you were scared, if you were worried about something, if something was going on. Okay, these 5 adults, people that are already invested in your lives that you want to ask to be in your squad, to take care, to pray for you, and to pour into you.
And I love the idea that 5 important, hand-picked, influential people in my children's life will be praying for my child and praying for their Christian development and their walk with the Lord, and that those people will care about her and be familiar faces for her on the patio, and that it will make church always feel